My name is Tolulope Adela Rubalogun, and this is a special package for News Central as Nigeria hits 60 years of independence. My guest is Ayo Obe. She's no stranger to Nigerian politics. She was once president of Nigeria's oldest indigenous human rights organization, which is the Civil Liberties Organization, during one of the country's most turbulent periods. She's also chaired the Transition Monitoring Group, and she was also a well-known and regarded, is a well-known and regarded columnist. Ayo Obe is one of those who has always been vocal about Nigeria's democracy and future. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's start in the beginning. Now, in his speech on October 1st, 1960, then Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa noted that independence had taken Nigeria several years to gain. But yes, we finally gained it. Everyone was happy. But it was the same Prime Minister who, at some point in time, dismissed the concept of Nigerian unity as a British intention. We also had a young Obafemi Awolowo say that Nigeria was a mere geographical expression. So when you hear some of these words from Nigeria's founding fathers, you wonder, was there a cohesive dream for what Nigeria was meant to be in 1960, in your opinion, beyond just self-government?
Well, I definitely think that self-government was part of it, but I think that one shouldn't call what were accurate descriptions. One shouldn't condemn them simply because they are accurate descriptions. Assuming that Tafawa Balewa was right when he said that Nigerian unity was a British invention or dream. I'm not sure that the British really cared. They just wanted to get out. And their practice in departing from their colonies was either to divide people who ought to have been united, as they did in Ireland, or in India, or to force together people who were not normally, I didn't say who should have, who would not normally have stayed together, as they did in most of their colonies in Africa. So as to whether or not they actually had that intention, perhaps I shouldn't even say that it was a description of fact. But I think that the reality is that every nation is to some extent an artificial creation. These ideas that there are even racially pure people, and by the word pure, I mean those who have no other genetic material in them. They don't exist on the planet Earth. And as the recent Viking gene studies have shown, and there's no nation, too, that consists of only one ethnicity, strain of thought, united vision.
Historically, we've always shied away from having the conversations, even the administrations, those at the top. They make it sort of seem like if you have these open conversations and you're not whispering in the corner about let's come together and have the conversation, you're doing some kind of disservice to national conversations. What do you feel about that? Because it seems people are afraid to have that conversation as to whether or not people genuinely feel connected to Nigeria as Nigerians.
Well, I don't know that they're afraid to have the conversation. I just think that they want to have the conversation on their terms. And I do certainly think that one of the things that governments in power in Nigeria have tended to shy away from is going back into history and trying to examine who did what, and as you said, some of our founding fathers, I suppose. Some of them.
I'll take that.
Some of them were expressed their views about the fact that we have a job on hand. Others feel that, but I think that having the conversation can be divisive because, particularly in the wake of our civil war, we've had this sort of, it's at the same time a silence and a digging in of heels, I would say. And partly because we didn't suffer. We didn't undergo the same privations. Yes, there were invasions, there were bombs and so on. Yeah. But on the whole, compared to what happened in the enclave, we didn't go through it. And so I think that that's still inhibiting the conversation, and it can very quickly degenerate. Yeah. And sometimes you do have to learn how to keep quiet and just, in order to, when things are better, when we are more unified, then we can examine some of these things. There are some things that the wound is still too raw. Now, it may be that people are picking at the scab, and so the wound is not going to heal.
Okay, so now after Nigeria's independence, there was the Civil War, which you just mentioned, but after that, we had a period where the country alternated between military regimes and democracies, or at least civilian rule, up to about 1999, and this is the longest stretch and the permanent stretch. Many of us see it as that. But why do you think Nigeria, after independence, found it so difficult to stay the course of democracy up till 1999?
Well, I think mostly impatience. And I think it's Winston Churchill who said that democracy is the worst form of government apart from all the rest. And so we tried the unitary system, we tried military dictatorship, and then we tried the parliamentary system and so on. And now we said, we better just stay the course.
With the one
we can't keep on starting afresh and starting afresh and starting afresh. And so I think that it's not that we're saying what we have is perfect. And there is still those who are saying we still need to go back and reset.
Yes.
But at the moment, we also want to say, well, okay, when you've done that, what actually is going to
be the outcome?
Replace it.
So with that in mind, your time at the CLO and other organizations, you've been part of people's movements, Bring Back Our Girls in some capacity, Occupy Nigeria as well during President Goodluck Jonathan's regime administration. I think that's also something we tend to keep military words in sort of our national lingo. In his administration, what do you think you or those around you should have done differently, if there is anything, at that point in time? And seeing how Nigeria has developed beyond that now?
Well, I think we should have made it a little bit clearer that democracy actually is not a spectator sport. Democracy also involves people having different opinions. That's why we need a democracy. And I think that it's, in a way, I feel that what we're going through now is inevitable. And there are some things that one might say, I would do this differently, but I don't think that we would necessarily be in a different place, because democracy, when you're offering people choice under a democracy, then some people are going to agree with the choices that are made and some people are going to disagree. The things that perhaps need to still be imbibed, because I don't think it's necessarily about what we did wrong. We did what we did. There are things that we might have done differently, and probably more of us should have made an effort to go in for democratic office right from 1999. But on the whole, I think that we are going to go through those changes, and that it will become clearer, although we're also doing it in the heat of the social media revolution. So I think that also does make, it makes things, sometimes it makes them easier, and in some ways it makes them harder. But I think that we are going to have to go through certain things, and people eventually will understand that you can vote for a political party. I vote for somebody, I can dislike you, I can criticize you. If I don't vote for you, I can dislike you, I can criticize you. I'm even entitled to say, you didn't do badly there. And all these things. This lack of nuance, I think, is probably the biggest problem. But it's something that is happening across the world. People are adopting ever more extreme positions. Yeah. Or at least the vocal ones are adopting ever more extreme positions. Most people stay in the middle And when they're ready, they vote.
So do you have hope that Nigeria can live up to its full potential? And what do you think that potential is? We all talk about Nigeria's potential and what exactly is that potential? And do you think we can fully live up to it at some time, whether it's in our lifetime or other people's lifetimes?
Well, in my lifetime, obviously not. But my morning prayer is that we should have a unity that is based on inclusiveness, that we should have a just peace that is based on justice. We could have elections that are honest, credible, accurate, peaceful, and accepted. And that we should have an economic development that will lift Nigerians out of poverty and into middle income status and even beyond. So those are the things that I hope for in respect of Nigeria and that I pray for in respect of Nigeria every day.
I like the fact that you've enumerated what it means to see Nigeria live up to its potential. So what do you now think needs to happen? Aside from, again, as you talked about right now, some of the displays, the disparity as well, but really, what do you think needs to happen for Nigeria to become the country, not just you, but others fought for, become the country that fully manifests itself? Right now, we're a middle power. Economically, yes, we might be the largest economy on the continent, but what does that really translate to? Depending on who you ask, we're 200 million, we're just about 200 million, but we have a majority of Nigerians in poverty, struggling to make a day in. Education is not the best. Healthcare is not the best. Road system is not the best. To manifest a country where we see all those things that you talked about, what will it take?
Well, I think first of all, it really requires us to stay the course. So I think we do need to stay the course. I think also, however, that we need to think about population. We are, as they say, the people who are going to take us to 500 million in 2050, they're already born. So those people need to be encouraged and supported and educated about why just having children that you can't provide for is not necessarily the best. But I think also the government has to do its bit. It has to stop this lip service to the idea that there is somewhere else that it's going to happen. But at the same time, I think that competition that there used to be among states about what can we do that is best, I think that needs to be revived. Not states saying, this is my best project, only look at that, don't look at all the mess that I have behind, because anybody can do that. It's the totality. I'm speaking because I was on the steering committee of the Nigerian Governors Forum State Peer Review Mechanism, which is like the African countries' NEPAD, which is to say that you can no longer use the excuse that, yes, they can do that in America because they have money or because they have two heads or whatever. This is we Africans, this is your sister African country, and they're doing it. What's your excuse? Same thing in Nigeria. This is your fellow Nigerian state. They're doing it. What's your excuse?